What is up, good people? In today's video, we're going to be talking about getting paid, one of my favorite subjects. Not only that, we're going to be talking about how $200 per man hour should not be a goal, but that should be a baseline on what you should be charging in your water damage restoration business. Guys, here's the deal. The name of my company is Restoration Profits, okay? Not Restoration Revenue. Profit is near and dear to my heart, and I hope it is for you too. And in this video, I want to show you how to make more profit. And a lot of that is going to start with how you price your projects. And in this video, we're going to try to rewire your brain so we can justify why you should be charging at least $200 per man hour. Here's the deal. If you want more profit in your restoration business, you do not want to miss this video. Let's go. All right, guys, so as we get started, I have one favor and ask of you. If you enjoy these videos, drop a comment down below to me, tell me where you're tuning in from, and then hit the like and subscribe button. That will show this video to more people because the algorithm will pick it up, and that's how you can help me. So I would greatly appreciate that. Now, what are we going to talk about in the video today? Well, obviously we're talking about getting paid, but here's the deal. Everybody wants to make more money, and you should want to make more money. And I'm going to be breaking down why you need to charge $200 per man per hour. And that's going to be the baseline, okay? But here's the deal. This is about how you want to think about estimating your projects, okay? And it's going to be pragmatic and theoretical all in the video. But the reality is this. We have to change the way we think about our pricing. And the best way for us to make more money is just to raise our prices. And I'll have to spend a little time validating to you why you are worth it, because you are worth it. Baby, you are worth $200 per man hour. You're worth more than that, all right? And I'm going to break that down in the video. So also, we're going to cover some things about the muddy scope, how you can package all this stuff. So either way, I'm just going to hop out of the way. Let's go. What is up, good people? Today, we're going to be talking about all things getting paid in water damage restoration. And I think the title of this video should be something related to why $200 per man per hour should be the new minimum in water damage restoration. So if that's interesting to you, let's jump in, shall we? So we'll talk about the intro first, right? Or about the title. When it comes to writing estimates for water damage restoration, one of the biggest things that I see people do wrong is they're not charging enough money, okay? And obviously, most of you guys are going to use xactimate. Whatever you choose to use, I don't really care, to be honest. But the reality is this. You're not charging enough money, especially for us in the emergency service business, okay? And so what I always tell my clients is this. Anytime you are estimating what you're doing on a project, you should use a figure for cross-reference. And that number for us is $200 per man per hour, okay? And I say this to you, like, you can write it up any way that you want, okay? You can write it up any way that you want in xactimate. But what I'm telling you is if you look at the labor and the number of hours that your men were on a project or on the job, tabulate those man hours, and are you at least fetching $200 per man per hour? And if not, you need to keep adding stuff into your invoice. You need to keep adding stuff into your estimate. And xactimate will tell you that $75 is a good rate or whatever the number is. But let me tell you something. Number one, we are in the emergency service business, okay? That requires a different factor, a different number. Number two, this is not the hourly rate of like a doctor or a nurse. This should be the hourly rate for the entire emergency room coming to someone's house. We are bringing an ER in a truck. Are you billing them for that truck? Are you billing them for your carpet extractor? Are you billing them for all the other tools that you've got on the van? Those are sunk costs that you're not going to be able to recover any other way. So they need to be captured in your hourly rate, guys. Okay? They need to be captured in your hourly rate. And I'm not telling you to bill for extraction hourly, but bro, I'm telling you, the guys didn't walk there. They did not walk to that job. How much does it cost to get a rental vehicle and xactimate out to the project? Find that rate and charge it. And it's ultimately going to be somewhere around $200 an hour. So just the biggest myth is this. Number one, you need to be making sure that your men are fetching at least $200 per hour per man. Sure, everybody's fine with that, right?
And if you don't know how to get there and you can't figure that out, go to workwithshane.com. Okay. We can get on a call. We have free sample estimates that we can give to you as well in certain of our programs and products. But you need to make sure that you're fetching and earning $200 per man per hour. Number one. Okay. The other thing is this. A lot of times you guys may charge less for a mold job than you would for a water job because you make less on mold than you would on water. But here's my point. You've got to charge whatever the opportunity cost rate is, okay? So if your guys could make $200 per hour on a water job, guess how much it should cost for them to be on a mold job? $200 per hour per man. Why? Because if you don't book it at the same rate, what's going to happen is you're going to fill up your calendar with cash pay mold jobs at $70 or $60 an hour, and you won't have the bandwidth to go do the $200 per man hour projects. You should book the hourly rate for the most expensive thing that you got. If you don't believe me, go call your attorney. If you've got an attorney on retainer, ask him to come talk to you. He's going to charge you $300 an hour, whether he's talking about the weather or if he's reviewing your contracts or representing you in court. Okay. It's $350 per hour, regardless of what y'all do. Do you understand? So that's what it is. That is his professional rate, his professional hourly service rate. And guess what yours is? $200 per hour per man. $200 per hour per man. Okay. Fair enough. And you don't have to write that on an outward facing bill to a client. I'm telling you, what you need to do is cross-reference whatever amount you are writing for the estimate or for the invoice, cross-reference that, okay? And it needs to at least be that. And if it's not, you need to keep adding it on there, okay? Keep adding it on there, okay? So $200 per man per hour. And that rate may be too low now. That rate may be too low now, all right? But that's the first thing. That's the first big thing that people miss. All right. And if you don't mind, can we just keep going? Let's just keep talking about some other mistakes made in the estimating, invoicing, and collections process. We'll stay on the cash pay vein here for a moment because this will resonate for you guys if you do cash pay molds, cash pay waters, if you do a cash pay plumbing job, whatever that you do that may not be insurance related. Let me tell you something. And you guys know that I've coined a term called the muddy scope. Well, let me tell you something. The muddy scope didn't come and arise out of the insurance business. I learned this when I was a general contractor. I was working as remodels and additions and everything else. And here's what I learned. If you itemize that estimate or you itemize whatever you're putting together for your client, you make it easy for them to nickel and dime you. You make it easy for them to pick it apart. If you show them exactly how much the materials are, where they get them and what they are, why are you angry when they try to get the materials at Home Depot and bring them to the job? Like you're asking them to pick your invoice apart. You're asking for that. Don't do that. You should never break out and isolate your material and labor. You should make it muddy. And this is one of the things I learned was I've got to figure out how to lump things together because they want a result. And I'll use the specific example that I have in mind because it was like in Bellevue in Nashville, Tennessee. And on this particular project, we had like they wanted some gutters. Okay. I don't remember if it was 4-inch or 6-inch gutters, but in one world, I could have priced the 6-inch gutter. But if I price out the gutters at $625 or $725 or $825 a linear foot, it's really easy for them to go call somebody else to say, hey, how much are your gutters per linear foot? So don't do that. And what I learned was this thing didn't just need gutters. It needed some framing repair. It needed some soffit and fascia repair. Then it needed some paint. It needed some caulking. And then it needed some gutter. And so what I learned was what I needed to do was just let them know that all of these different things were going to be involved. It was going to require some framing repair. It was going to require some soffit repair. They don't even know what soffit is. It's going to require some fascia repair. They don't even know what fascia is. It's going to require work to a couple of the gables or bird boxes. They have no idea what these things are. This makes it muddy. Do you understand? And they're thinking like, oh, wow, this seems pretty complicated. Okay. And when you're making repairs to bird boxes and to gables and to fascia and to soffit, it doesn't feel like you can go call the freaking gutter company down the street and say, hey, how much do you charge per linear foot for a 6-inch gutter? Because now the customer knows there's a lot more than that involved. Okay. So you went from making something that was crystal clear and you made it muddy. Okay. Does that make sense? You made it muddy. So that was really where I started to understand where a muddy scope needed to live. And it was on these estimates. It was on these invoices. So the moral of the story is this. If you make it too itemized, you will be penalized. The devil is in the details. The devil is in the details. And this stayed with me in my general contracting days.
Hey guys, real quick, in case you didn't know, I help people just like you grow and scale your water damage restoration business. If you are interested in me helping you grow and scale your company, go to workwithshane.com. We hop on a 15-minute call to see if we're a good fit. Workwithshane.com. Now, let's go back to the video.
One of the things I would also do when I was remodeling and doing additions is I remember there was this one couple and we were putting an addition on their house and they needed to have some numbers before they went for like some type of financing thing. And so what I could have done was like frame 1, frame 2, I could have broken it up any number of ways. But what I did is I put it into a spreadsheet so I could make sense of it. Okay. So I understood what plumbing rough in 1 was, plumbing rough in 2, plumbing trim. I understood what all those components were, but I didn't show it to them. So what I did is I took things that I understood, things that Xactimate would normally do. Okay. Like maybe, trim or drywall or paint. I took 3 or 4 or 5 of those categories and then I lumped them together into something else. And I called it a new name, but I put all of the totals in that new name. That prevents that customer from knowing exactly whatever is in that bag of groceries. Okay. I'm telling them what's in the groceries, but I'm not telling them how much each individual item inside that bag costs. That is how you prevent yourself from getting price shocked. Okay. Another thing that we used to do, I used to sell building materials. I sold lumber. Okay. And so one of the things that was really popular for builders, because I was a builder myself, was they would always price shop certain things. So when I was selling framing materials and like whatever, just everything for a home. We sold doors, windows, roofing, and then the actual frame package. And one of the things that the builders would always do is they would call up and they had certain sticker items they were interested in. And it was typically sticks and sheets. How much are your sticks? 2x4, 12, 2x4, 10, whatever those 2x4s were, or 2x6. They would have something. They would want to know what the sticks and the sheets were. How much is your OSB, right? So what's your OSB? What is your subfloor? And what is your stud pricing? Okay. And one of the things that we would do, okay, at our lumber facility is I would say, look, you tell me what you're interested in. You tell me what you want to pay, and I'm going to give it to you. You tell me what you want to pay for OSB. Tell me what your best estimate from that other place is, and I'll beat it by 30%. You tell me what your OSB is from the other place, and I'll beat it by 30%. Just show it to me. You tell me what their 2x4s are, I'll beat it. And what we would do is I would take that number and I would stick it into my spreadsheet and I would refactor everything else. So I would charge more for the 2x12 16s or the 2x12 8s. The other things they weren't shopping, I would make the difference up over there. You tell me what you want to pay for this. I'll make that happen. If I do that, can I have your business? And hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Okay. I'm just letting you know that the psychology that goes into a buyer. Okay. And the other thing I would do is I'd want to get more of the piece of the pie. I would want to get their trim work. I want to get their doors. I want to get their windows. I want to get their shingles. If you want me to honor this deal that you want me to give you, I'm going to do it. But I also would like to get this and this and this as well. And that allowed me to spread out what I lost in the lost leader and those other things. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Okay. Number 1, you don't have to sketch your projects. You don't have to sketch it. Like, even if you want to charge by unit price and by the linear foot or by the square foot, you don't need a freaking sketch, bro. 600 square feet is 600 square feet. It doesn't matter if it's a rectangle, triangle, hexagon, or whatever else. You don't need a sketch. 600 feet is 600 feet. Okay. Another thing is this. When I'm doing a recon estimate, bro, I don't charge them by the linear foot of base. I put 4 16-foot sticks in every single room. There weren't any gaps in those baseboards. When I got in there, all my recon guys, y'all better like this one. My recon guys better like this one. If I got a 12 by 12 room, I'm charging 16 by 16 by 16 by 16, 16 foot sticks all the way around. Why? Because there weren't any joints in there when we started. There ain't no joints when I left. And they sell the stuff by a 16 foot stick. I ain't been into Home Depot and bought a 1 foot stick. Can't do it. Can't do it. You want a 12 foot stick? You're going to buy a 14 and cut it down. You're going to throw the 2 foot in the trash. Charge them for the full stick. That's a good one too, y'all. I don't paint one wall. I paint all four. Why? Because if I got to cut a swatch off a room, if I got to cut a swatch out of a wall to go get that paint matched, that customer had a room that matched with a gallon of paint in the beginning. And when you cut a swatch, that's not the same thing as the Sherwin-Williams color it was earlier. That's a match. It is different. And if you want it to be the same, it's got to be all four walls the same. I never paint a wall. I paint them all. I paint them all. And you ain't got to paint them all, but they better pay you to paint them all. They better pay you to paint them all. You better charge for it. Okay. Just trying to help you guys. Just trying to help you guys. A real easy one is this. When it comes to charging for your equipment, don't charge them 3 days. Don't charge them 4 days. Throw a 0.5 on there. Charge them 3.5 or 4.5 on every single job. Why? Because you never pick that thing up at 24 hours on the dot. It's always a little bit more. And when they say, what's this 3.5? What's this 4.5? Say, I didn't want to charge you for the 4 or for the 3 or for the 5. We were only out there for half a day, so I charge you for 0.5. And guys, let me tell you something. You add up 0.5, that is free money. That is free money all year long. You're welcome. You are welcome. Put 0.5s on all your gear. Charge half days. You're welcome. You can do it for everything. Bebo, I bet you paint them all. I paint them all. That should be a t-shirt. I paint them all. You know?
Guys, if you didn't already know, the two biggest problems you're going to have in owning a restoration company are this. Number one, getting consistent water damage jobs coming in the door. Number two, getting paid what you're worth for those water damage jobs. For that reason, I'm addressing both those problems with these videos to my left or right. On one side, it's about getting jobs. On the other side, it's about getting paid. Go over there, click the link. I'll see you in the next video.